Hey guys, it's Levi Gates and welcome to DETALKS. Today we've got Mr. Ivan LaCroix from Optimum Polymer Technologies. Welcome, sir.
Pleased to be here.
And Mr. Dan Williams from Optimum Polymer Technologies as well. How goes it?
I'm doing great, and I always introduce him as the Canadian Wonder.
I'm going to call these guys the Hyper Twins.
There you go.
Fair enough, fair enough.
So
we're so relaxed, we're hyper.
Yeah, that's right. So today we're going to talk about water spot removal and why it's important to remove as much of the mineral itself before polishing. A lot of guys think that the only way to remove water spots is either because through chemical removal or just buff them out.
Right. And there's also a lot of talk going on around about heat as well for getting rid of water spots. And there's, we'll say a little bit wrong about that theory. But the most important thing about water spot removal is first of all understanding how water spots are created. So water spots are a side effect of our obsession with having beads.
Yeah.
So the water beads on the surface, that perfect little round bead contains some minerals in it. Now, if it's just rainwater does not cause water spots.
Right.
It's tap water, or the car was very dirty before, had some minerals on it, then that water takes those minerals up.
And you know what? Everywhere that I've been, they have the hardest water.
Yeah. We do clinics around the world, and everybody says, oh yeah, but the water here is the hardest. And everybody coincidentally also talks about their weather, and if you don't like the weather here, wait 10 minutes, it's going to change. So everybody has the same saying anywhere we go.
It's all coming out of the same earth.
Yeah, exactly. So, but nonetheless, so that beautiful bead that you've always cherished and wanted is actually damaging your paint.
Now permanently installed.
Yeah, if you leave it to dry on there.
Right.
Yeah.
So what happens? Sprinkler goes on, lays a beautiful layer of beads on your car. As those beads dry, the minerals in the water actually find the outer edge through capillary action. That capillary action brings them to the outer edge of that bead. Then they etch themselves through the heat of the sun into the paint or onto the paint.
Yeah, and if you give it enough time, they will go into the paint.
Right.
You're absolutely right. They'll do just like a bird dropping and etch into the paint.
Because the pH level of different minerals is, some can be high, some can be low. So if your car is coated with something like OptiCoat or Gloss Coat, you can prevent that water spot. But if you don't have a coating on your car, that's when water spots can become dangerous, and you need to get them off as quickly as possible.
And in preventing the water spot will still be there, but it doesn't go through the coating to go into the paint.
Right. You'll still see what looks like a water spot, but it's actually, once we take the minerals off, there's no more water spot. But an uncoated car, the one we're worried about, that mineral has etched lightly into the clear. Sometimes heavily, but for your sake, we're hoping lightly into the clear.
You caught it a couple days in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not 2 years, 3 years.
Yeah, exactly.
The sprinkler went off about 3 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a black Corvette.
Yeah.
It's been 110 degrees since then.
Yeah, and every time I wash the car, it just keeps getting worse. Don't know why.
Or the people who go out and they just hose. Well, I just hosed it down.
Yeah.
Yes.
Beautiful. Thank you. And how much would you like to pay us? So, that customer that just hosed down his vehicle, parked under the sprinkler, what have you. Those water spots. First thing and foremost, we need to get rid of those minerals. Polishing will not get rid of those minerals. Polishing will actually drive those minerals a little bit deeper into the paint.
They'll look like they're gone.
Yeah. Heat will not get rid of those minerals. Heat will just drive them in a little bit deeper.
Hitting it with a lighter.
Yeah, or hitting it with a lighter. No, not going to work. Dan likes hitting things with lighters. I don't know why. It's his thing. But anyways, and it never works. That's the thing. He tries to find a use for hitting things with lighters. Hasn't found a use yet. But how do we get rid of the minerals?
You got to remove them chemically.
Right, and what chemical can we use for that?
MDR.
That's one. There's other things you can use too.
Acids.
Yes. MDR is actually the product name. It stands for Mineral Deposit Remover. Amazing. So we're removing mineral deposits from the paint. It's a very safe product to use. It can actually be used on glass, which acids can't be used on glass.
Yeah.
So MDR can be used on glass, can be used on plastics, can be used on chrome, and obviously on the paint. We want to wash the vehicle with O&R first. While it's still damp with the O&R, we take an O&R dampened microfiber, something with a high pile, maybe a...
something like a Creature 420 or a Spectrum 420.
I like the Minx myself.
The Minx is a good towel for that too.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's nice, it's thick, it's cushy.
I have a particular affection for the Minx. So,
Send you home with some.
Yeah. So anyways, you take your Minx, soaked in your O&R, not dripping, but just damp. Put a bit of MDR on it, and then you can work it in. And keep it damp.
Yeah.
Keep working it. Alternatively, you can use Dan's favorite pad.
Yeah, well, you can use the blue pad, that really soft pad, and put the MDR on there and just run your polisher on really, really slow.
Yeah.
All the way down to 1.
Yeah. As long as your pad is rotating, once again, no pressure, no speed. A pad dampened with O&R.
And what happens is, as it softens those mineral deposits up, it's like calcium and magnesium, and it'll soften them up, and then they should just come right off.
Yeah. Once you've done that, being MDR is slightly acidic, you need to rinse it off and rinse it well. Now, in the case of very heavy water spots, Dan has actually worked out Dan's done a lot of research on this. So.
Yeah, I did a lot of testing. Sometimes with the cars that are coated, they'll have water spots on them that really are sitting on top of there really good, and you have to use something a little bit stronger. We don't have this product. We don't sell anything at Optimum that is harmful to the environment or to the user of the product. But occasionally, I find it useful to use a little bit of ammonium bifluoride acid diluted to the same strength that you would clean a wheel with it. It's made for wheels, which are clear coated. Yeah. So it's going on paint or coating, which is the same. That's the kind of acid, if you spill a little bit of it onto the sidewalk, it'll start to fizz up.
It'll start to bubble.
Yeah, so that really attacks them a lot quicker. So I like to definitely wear gloves and a respirator mask of some sort. I spray it directly onto the sponge. I like to use one of those crisscross bug sponges that has the nylon on it. It doesn't scratch anything. And then you just apply it to the surface and keep moving around. You don't want to let it get dried up.
Yeah.
And that will loosen them up enough that if you have to go back with a little bit of Optimum car wax and a blue pad and hit over the top of it.
Yeah. Now you never want to spray the acid willy-nilly in the air.
No, that's just silly.
You don't want to spray it on the car.
But
yeah, you don't want to spray it on the car either, because the overspray, you will not necessarily get to it. If you get some on the glass, you risk etching the glass, plastics, etc. Whereas spraying it on the pad, like Dan does, gives you total control as to where you're putting it.
Yeah. And this is where that little toy that you just gave me recently, a couple months ago back in Memphis, the magnifying glass. If you can look at that after you do this, and it looks like there's still a problem there, you can tell if it's actually etched into your paint or if it's still something that's sitting on top of it, and that can determine whether you need to wet sand it to attempt to fix it, or try a little bit stronger of an acid.
And now once you remove the minerals, if it's a coated car, normally we're done at this point. If it's an uncoated car, you may have the divots or the craters left by the minerals. That is when we need to polish. Hopefully we can just polish it out, if not wet sand. Now, we have a lot of people that say, yeah, but I polished the water spots that came all off. And then that same person 2 or 3 weeks later says, they came back.
What happened?
Yeah. Or my customer keeps parking under a sprinkler because the water spots keep coming back, even though the customer swears, I parked it in the garage. It hasn't moved since you touched it.
I learned that lesson the hard way. I polished out this trunk and then I put coating on it. I thought it looked fabulous, and I went back to do a maintenance wash on the car a couple of weeks later. All those same exact water spots were right there.
Why do you think Dan did a lot of research on water spots?
And a lot of guys don't understand. You got to be careful with acid. One thing is, the biggest thing with it is it's toxic.
Yeah.
So proper personal safety equipment, so your respirator or a dust mask, or make sure you have gloves on. Acid burns are no fun at all.
No.
It's a derivative of hydrofluoric acid too, so it actually attacks and it goes into your bones.
Yeah,
and
it attacks your bones.
and it's cumulative. Is that the
Yes.
right word?
So you have a cumulative effect, meaning that you may not feel the results from it today, but if you keep using it, you keep getting. Yeah.
That's maybe part of it.
Yeah.
One thing also to remember, those of you that aren't detailers, but maybe you work in a car wash, or you work in a tunnel wash, any of those kind of things, touchless washes use hydrofluoric acid. That's the only way they can really remove the product, the dirt and the grime off the vehicle. And I worked in a car wash when I was 16 years old, and I was working in, we had two arches in the tunnel that would foam hydrofluoric acid onto the surface of the vehicle. Nobody told us about personal protection.
No.
They just said, yeah, just close your eyes when you're walking through the tunnel and the air's blowing on the other side and you're getting a face full of acid foam. You grab a towel, wipe yourself off. You don't think
Is that car
about
wash
it.
still around?
No, it's not. It's still washing cars, just under a different name, and it doesn't have a foaming arch anymore. But the key is if you're in a car wash now, or you're in a shop that you're using acid day to day, and the boss hasn't told you to be careful with it, because it's pretty toxic and it can do some damage to you in the long run. Like Yvonne says, it's not fun. I have really bad arthritis in my hands, and maybe that's from spray bottles, but maybe that's also from many acid burns that I've had over the course of 20 years of detailing.
So back to the water spots, they can be treated, they can be removed. We've heard recently, there's a lot of people talking about, we heat the panel with an IR lamp before polishing it to remove the water spots. That's not going to remove the water spots. That's actually going to make the minerals drive in a little deeper. When you polish it, you're going to glaze over them. They are going to come back.
Yeah.
And Dan, as I said, has done a lot of testing. I've done a lot of testing. When we were developing MDR, we tried many, many different ways of creating water spots, working with water spots, getting water spots off. Heat and paint correction never go hand in hand.
Right.
Unless you're working with lacquer from the 60s.
I kept a panel out by the side of my house, and I'd shoot just tap water on it every day, and let it build up, and then see what it took to get the water spots off.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
Well, cool, guys. Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for coming on here.
Thank you.
And for more of this scientific stuff, you can also check out the Optimum Synergy podcast, which Dan does and Ivan does every week. You want to get deeper into some of the chemicals and how they work. They've got a couple episodes with Dr. G that are fascinating and really eye-opening. But again, biggest thing, guys, is educate yourselves and be safe, especially when you're trying to remove water spots. And that's the beauty of MDR. It's a lot safer than some of the acids out there. So be safe, be healthy. Comment below. Any questions, you can email me at levi@theragcompany.com. Subscribe up here or down here, either one.
It's a really good thing to do also. Write a review.
Yes, leave a review
Those are huge.
on the Optimum Synergy podcast if you've enjoyed it. It really helps Dan's numbers out, especially on iTunes. That's how they track and control it. So, for more episodes like this, make sure you continue to watch right here on the Rag Company YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.